as in the description of Part 1 of Episode 79. Everything has a price, and the Watchman of Doom has arrived. We are all lost. What were the skills that would appear in this episode? Simp Cameraman simply ignored the TV woman, and what can we expect? For Part 2 of Episode 79, well, that is what we will see today in this video. Hey guys, are you all okay? Well, I would really imagine that, at some time or another, we would see the Titian TV man fighting on the other side. I mean now, Watchman of Doom, and without saying the other way. So let's go to the video. The episode then begins at the cameraman's base, and for the first time we see that our POV will be a speakerman. And they also show how they speak, and also a new ability, a new piece of equipment, a device that allows us to understand the language of the speakermans, and also the Skibidis. A lot is happening in this scene, folks, so it wasn't possible to catch everything. But we see a cameraman who looks kind of sad, TV woman talking to this other TV man, and we can't forget this cameraman, a survivor who came all the way from episode 76, arrived at the cameraman's base in episode 77, and is still here up to episode 79. That one is a real warrior, huh, folks? And we also see that the detective cameraman picks up this device. And as I said, folks, the POV of this episode is a speakerman. And that's because the transmissions now are not being done live, but rather offline, so the Astro Toilets can't locate the cameramans. And that's why we're now having other characters as the POV instead of just cameramans. Then, the large TV man arrives, and he's also very furious, saying basically that he's being used as a pack mule. That's exactly what happens. But in this base, there's a kind of core, a sort of Astro Toilet detector and destroyer. That's because, folks, some Astro Toilets are also arriving at the base through the teleportation of the TV men's, just like what was attempted in episode 78. That quickly brings down this Astro, who falls to the ground, telling TV woman it was too late and that the base would be attacked.
It's too late. They know where you are. You will perish from hands of your own.
We then see, coming out of a capsule, a cameraman with Astro technology. Besides being a very different character, he's also a very strong and powerful one. But this cameraman is already known and is one of the oldest in the series. Yes, folks, it's the brown suit cameraman, also known as Simp Cameraman. And we can see that this time he doesn't care about TV woman anymore. Could it be that he really doesn't feel anything for her anymore? Or maybe his memory was reset? And to confirm that it's really him, his name is written on the capsule itself, and Boom also put it in the video description, thanking Strider for the design. And also, folks, that little tie is unmistakable. We also see that he has an ability not seen before in other cameramans, where he closes his lens as if it were an eye. Then the alarm starts to sound, and this TV man says he needed more time. And suddenly that human hybrid shows up. The one who had already tried to make peace, make an agreement with the Alliance, and also seems to have tried this with the Astro Toilets. But it didn't go very well. And when our cameraman steps outside, we then see a big battle. Along with it comes the G-Squad. Well, this Astro, folks, is one of the spoilers of the series, followed by the scream, which is actually a real human scream. Not from the animation, but from a real person, the YouTuber eBio75.
What doesn't kill you gives you aura. Well done, King. Yeah, good one, Mike.
We then hear the sirens of the Astros, now called the Trumpets of Dominion. We then see the arrival of 2 Astros, and right after, the Astro Duchess, who is heavily attacked, but with no effect. And after that, she sits on top of this poor, large cameraman known as Robert. She says the following words: "Fools, you have no idea what is coming."
Fools. You have no idea who's coming.
But something similar has happened before when we saw G-Toilet say similar words, which further strengthens the theory that the Astro Duchess has some kind of relation to G-Toilet, maybe even being his daughter. That would be very curious. But I have a very interesting theory that I'll make a video about very soon. And then what we all imagined happens. Watchman of Doom appears. That's the name given by the Astros to the Titan TV man, who is now infected. Besides having the Astro Toilet's technology, he's no longer speaking. On the contrary, we can see deep down he knows what he's doing. He still has consciousness, but he can't do anything because he's being controlled. He tries somehow to redeem himself with the Alliance, but the worst is inevitable. The Resistance tries to attack him, but Titan TV man is nearly indestructible after this update from the Astro Toilets. We now see that the former robot of the Skibidi scientist was being piloted by his disciple, Kleiner, who is also a Skibidi scientist. And even though he had some success in trying to reverse the Titan TV man's attack, it didn't work. Not to mention that the Titan TV man has a kind of scythe similar to the one used by the Speakerman's executor, but of course in a different shape. And after all this destruction, the Astro Duchess kind of tells Titan TV man to finish the job. She tells him to stop resisting, that his pain is useless, that his emotions are worthless, that only those with power are heard here, and that they have power now. So Titan TV man has no choice. He is under the power of the Astro Toilets. A cruel and cold provocation, because deep down we know that Titan TV man doesn't want to do this. Our cameraman senses that something worse is about to happen and tries to warn everyone, including Plunger Woman, who didn't care about it. Even though it was a reference to episode 50, she didn't stand a chance, folks. Then the worst happens. 4 giant screens appear and activate the red screen, which you already know what it means, leaving us without knowing what happened, and then the camera goes offline. And now, will our agents, will Plunger Woman have survived? Well, we'll only really know in part 2. But let's not forget, folks, Boom always does this. He always leaves us in an episode that ends in suspense, and in the next episode comes the victory. So I believe that yes, in part 2, something will happen that will help the Alliance. And as I said, we can't forget there's still G-Toilet. He might still join forces with the Astro Juggernaut. We still have the Speakerman's army. And I believe, as I said, Boom just left us with this suspenseful scene to make us anxious for part 2.